Hey, here we go, live with another property finance Q&A. Back in my office today, so none of the trials and tribulations that we had last week with internet connections. So trusty cup of tea at hand, there we are. And we crack on with another property finance Q&A. So what is it you guys want to know this week? What questions have you got that's rocking up and troubling you and you like me to answer, using all my 20 plus years experience of brokering every type of property deal. There you go. Got some good mornings coming in there. Mel, hi Mel, good to see you. There we are. Hey, if you're watching this and it isn't yet the 15th of August 2024, you still have time to get a 50% discount on a BRR Launchpad ticket. Midnight 14th of August is when they expire, and you can find that. I think if you go onto the BRR Launchpad website, you're going to see there's a clock ticking down on there to show you how long you got left. So hey, why wouldn't you get a half price ticket? We've got a bunch of people already grabbed a half price ticket. Look, you can actually get a VIP ticket for the price of a normal ticket, because a VIP ticket is normally double. So if everyone is half, and actually that's what a lot of people have done. They've booked the VIP ticket because it's the same price as a normal ticket, and they get lots of extra goodies, like they get priority seating, they get a workbook, they get a great pre-event Zoom session, deal finding Zoom session. So they'll come to the event actually having deals to look at. So that's a good thing. They also have, there's at the end of day one, there's a drinks reception for VIPs and anyone that's already trained with me. So you can chat as a VIP, you can sit and chat to people that have already been successful at BRR. And if that's what you're looking to do, then why not talk to people that have already done it? That's a great way, or in the process of doing it. If they haven't really done it yet, they've at least got a clear path that they're following and they know where they're going, and it's only a matter of time before they do it. So if all that feels a bit confusing to you, this BRR stuff, and why should you pay such attention to it? Well, because it's the only way to build a whole portfolio from a single pot of cash. You're not going to do it any other way, really. So just get on to brrlaunchpad.com, grab yourself a ticket. And if you're watching a replay of this and it's the 15th of August or later, hey, it's still a great investment to come and spend 2 days with myself. And we do some stuff here on the BRR Launchpad that I never do anywhere else. So it's a unique event in terms of some of the content. There's some of the BRR Summit 1 day content in there, yes, but there's some unique content that I never do anywhere else outside of the BRR Launchpad. You've got some great speakers as well. You've got 3 speakers that you can come along and learn from, as well as me, and also 2 of my mentees. We're going to get them up on stage, and they're going to break down one or more of their deals that they use the BRR method on, buy, refurb, refinance, and they're going to show us exactly how they did it, and I'll talk it through with them and give you any explanation. So hey, why wouldn't you want to get yourself to all of that? So BRR Launchpad, there you go. It's the 28th and 9th and September in London Heathrow, in the Marriott Hotel. Okay, so questions, guys. What does you want to know? We know the drill here. We got some good. It's a way to get your questions answered. Of course, you don't have to wait all week to get your questions answered. You can go into the Recycle Your Cash Facebook group. Let me just find you a link to that. We'll pop a link in there. If you're not in there already, you should be. Facebook won't let me do these live in there anymore, which is a bit of a shame. And I have to go out on my YouTube, LinkedIn, and a couple of pages. But I put the replay in there, so you can watch the replay in there. Let's pop that in the chat there. Again, while I'm doing all this, what's your question? What questions have you got? Let me know. I can answer them. There you go. Facebook /groups/recycle your cash. Come and join the nearly 3,000 people in there. That no, they don't have to wait all week to ask me a question. They can fire it in there anytime they like. There we are. Good. So come and join us. So Melanie's coming in with a question, and hi to Debbie as well. Hi, Debbie. Melanie, hi, good. Is it advisable and possible to get a pending confirmed bridging agreement prior to going into bid or place an offer on a property, especially if you're going for auction? Not really. I don't think really. If you know you're bridgeable, and pretty much everyone is, and you know that there are dozens and dozens of bridging lenders, which there are, literally dozens and dozens, and you only need one of them to say yes, and you know broadly what the terms are going to be within a few percentage points, no real need at all. You see, the difference with a bridging loan and a mortgage is you get a mortgage decision in principle, but it's property unspecific. There's no specificity around a property with a mortgage decision in principle. It's just, yeah, we'll give you a mortgage of X. Bridging isn't like that because it's bespoke lending and it's about the property, not the borrower, whereas a mortgage is equally about the borrower as well as the property. Then bridging lenders are not going to give you a confirmed agreement unless they know which property they're looking at. And if you have to do that every time you want to put an offer in, well, they're going to get a bit fed up with that, aren't they, really? But there's really no need. We do quite a lot of auction purchases with bridging, and most of the time people just phone up sometime during the day and said, I've just had an offer or just had a bid accepted at auction. And so better get some bridging. So we get an inquiry form out to them, they send it back, and Trinity in the brokerage cracks on with it, finds them the best lender, and away they go. So yeah, it's not really needed. There you go. So that's your question. Lynn says you tuned into the wrong platform. Did you? Or did you go into a Facebook group then, did you, and not a page? Yeah, it's a pain, isn't it? Back in April, Facebook suddenly said you can't project into a Facebook group unless you're actually live in that Facebook group. Well, that's okay, but it doesn't allow you to go live on multiple channels like I'm live now on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on 2 Facebook pages. So I couldn't actually dump all that just to go live in a Facebook group. So, they've, I don't know whether they cut the nose off to spite their face, really. I don't know whether they have or not, but it is inconvenient. YouTube, but you couldn't comment. Wow, really? I wonder why. Because YouTube is usually where a good chunk of my comments come from. So I don't know what the issue is there. There we are. Thanks for your question, Mel. What else do you need to know, guys? What else do you need to know? And while I'm waiting for you to pop another question in, if we're going to get anyone, I'm going to tell you about something that's going to launch in about a month's time. In fact, almost a month. to the day. So I've been doing these Monday morning videos for getting on 5 years, and I recorded them all, so they're all sitting in a library somewhere. And I've been thinking about how I can leverage all this content so that you get an encyclopedic access quickly, instantly to this. So I'm putting the finishing touches to a product where you'll be able to do a word search and get all of these answers at a touch of a button. It's going to be brilliant. I'm going to tell you more about it over the next 4 weeks. We launch on the 14th of September. So there we are. Debbie, is it still worth putting an offer when our maximum offer is only 40% of the asking price? Well, look, if you're going to make those sort of low offers, you've got to have a good reason to back up why it's not higher. Now, one of the reasons could be it's an unrealistic asking price in the first place. We do get occasionally we see sellers with completely on another planet in terms of the price they're asking for the property. They're virtually asking the done up value for a property that needs doing up. Now, of course, no one in their right mind is going to buy that. So, you need to, and as you learned to do when you did negotiation transformer module, Debbie, you learn to tell them that you'd love to offer closer to the asking price, but you'd be a really bad businesswoman if you did, because why would you take on a property with a problem that needs fixing if you're not going to make any money doing it? There's just no point. Just go. If you're not going to make any money out of doing it, then just go and buy one that's already fixed up and pay the right price. So there's got to be a payoff to buying something with an issue, a problem that needs solving, and you're the one to solve it. Yes, I'd still put in an offer, because yes, it'll get rejected, but you just follow it up until the seller gets more realistic, or they find someone dumb enough to pay too much for it, and there are people like that around. So yes, I would, Debbie, I would. Lynn, here we are. Could you talk through cross collateral bridging in conjunction with a refurb bridge? Yeah, can do that. Pretty much by combining the two, which is the refurb bridge is on the property you want to buy, and the cross collateral bridging is on the property you already own, and they put it all under one umbrella loan, and that allows you to borrow 100% of the cost of the project, 100% of the purchase price, 100% of the works cost, the refurb costs. Now, if you're borrowing it all, there's got to be a chunky profit in it to substantiate that extra borrowing, because normally you put a deposit down, let's say 25%, and you put that deposit down to in part mitigate the cost of borrowing, because you don't pay to borrow your own money. And also to give you some skin in the game. So the bridging lender would send their valuer out to both properties, the one you own and the one you want to buy, do their valuations, and then come back with how much they can lend you. You'd get your solicitor doing the legals on both properties, and the bridger would do their legals on both properties. And then you draw down the money to give you 100% of the purchase price. You could also draw down enough to fund the first stage of the works before their valuer or quantity surveyor comes out at the end of the stage one, inspects the work, signs it off, and gives you the next tranche of money. So yeah, hopefully that that gives you some guidance on how it works. And interesting that you also were looking at auction properties. You've been looking at a few of those and getting outbid every time. And I think that's typically, Mel mentioned auctions earlier now, unless you've got a real problem that people don't want to take on, you're pretty much always going to get outbid at auction. Because look, so few people know how to correctly price up a deal. You know, I was having a discussion with someone last week, and they're not trained by me, but they have done some other training, which is worrying, because they put an offer in, and I said, okay, so what were your calculations that determined that that was the right price to pay for that property? And they said, well, we got some money knocked off the purchase price. Okay, but how do you know that you got enough knocked off that you're going to make this a profitable deal? And they were stumped, which, to be honest, I found quite staggering. Now, that's no detriment to them. It's not a dig at them, because, you know, no one knows how to do anything until they learn or they're taught. You know, no one instinctively knows how to drive a car, you know, but you do learn to drive a car once you have a few lessons and pass your test. So, you know, it's never a dig at anyone because of their lack of knowledge. It's just a recognition that actually one of the first things you need to do in property is learn how to price up a property. Because before you buy it, you need to know, are you going to make money or lose money? You know, and if you don't know that, the chances are you're going to lose money, because you know, people would be naturally, and we're going back to Debbie here and her 40% of the asking price. You know, human nature is to overvalue what we own and undervalue what we seek to own. So, you know, yes, sellers are going to overprice their deals. Of course they are, because they want more for it. They just want to see what someone's prepared to pay for it. But a savvy buyer is going to know exactly what their margin is, what it needs to be, what it should be. They're going to know the costs involved, and they're going to know the end value that that they can actually sell or refinance that property at. You know, there's no way in the world that should be guesswork, because if it is, you're just prey to coming unstuck and actually losing money. And people don't tend to hang around long in property if they're losing money on deals. You know, if they've started with a cash budget, you know, a small cash budget in the first place, they probably haven't got much cash left, and that just knocks them out of the game. So there we are. I've got a couple of more questions coming in here. So there we are. Debbie's back again. Hello, Debbie. Is it okay to flip a house with structural issues in the roof? Agent says it hasn't been reported to the insurance, or anywhere else. Estate agent is happy to sell afterwards without having to declare issues that it's put right. Or is it best to keep it and rent out if the calculations permit? Okay, so this is about risk mitigation, Debbie. You know, I'm big, you've heard me talk about this, you know, anything you're doing in property, and whichever avenue you go down, you're either mitigating risk or you're escalating risk. So the two situations in property that people, I see that people make really emotional decisions about are structural issues and Japanese knotweed is the other one. So even if you've got certificates or reports to say you fixed the problem, they still make an emotional reaction, or they're still prone to making an emotional reaction. So therefore, trying to flip a property that's had structural issues is a risk escalation. Now, if it's in the roof, you could say, well, people would take a bit of a different view of that, because where they get really spooked is if it's the foundations, because they just have images of the whole house falling down and it's just a pile of bricks. If the building itself is solid and there's a structural issue with the roof and that's repaired, I'm guessing people could say it's a lower level of risk, of emotional risk for them. So I think there's more of a possibility to flip a house with structural issues if it's in the roof and if you've repaired them. Now, you're going to need to get a structural engineer to report and tell you what you need to do, and then to come back and tell you it's done. Or you popped in there that it's not major structural issues. Yeah. So, that might be okay. But hey, look, you're better to cover both bases there, Debbie. If you buy it on the basis that you can keep it and rent it out without tying in, too much cash, you can still try to sell it, because your fallback is you can still rent it out if you wanted to. So I think that would be the wisest thing. So price it up as if you were going to keep it, but then try to sell it. Now, of course, what you could do with that is, if it's not blatantly evident that it's got structural issues in the roof, and it's not massively prohibitively expensive to solve it, you could just shove it in auction. You could just flip it in auction without doing anything to it. Just buy it, whack it in auction. You learn how to do that on the 90% flip strategy. Now, because you're not just because you're an up and coming Property Chats host down in Brighton, which I'm looking forward to you opening that up in September with Chi and Christy, but because you're in my training program, and once you're in, you never leave, really. So I'll always guide and support you on that. So yeah, there we are. So I think you've got different angles on that, but if you buy it at the right price, and if it's got structural issues in the roof, it's probably not mortgageable, which is great. That's the starting point, because that gets rid of most of your competition, which you're probably finding. So there we are. Good. Lynn's back. Here we are. Great. So it's the Lynn and Debbie show today, isn't it? With a bit of support from Mel too. But there we are. We don't mind that. We don't mind that at all. Giving up on the auctions for now. Yeah. I don't think that's your dumbest move ever, really, Lynn, is to give up on auctions for now. So in the maximum offer matrix, calculating bridge interest, 10% for 6 months, 15% for 12 months of purchase price. Yeah, that's right. If I'm getting into cross collateral plus refurb, how do you calculate whole borrowing? Okay, so you put you'd also put 6 and 12%. Sorry, 6%. I'm getting the wrong way around. I'm doing months and me years. 10% and 15% on the deposit and the refurb cost too. So you'd add, if you think you can switch it around and get it sold in 6 months, 10% of the 25% deposit, 10% of the refurb costs. So you still do your base calculation, 10 or 15% of the purchase price. That tells you what 75% loan is going to cost you. But you need to also apply the same percentages to the deposit and to the refurb costs if you're doing that cross collateral plus refurb bridge. Good, there you go. So Lynn's come back, says, where are you, Debbie? And Debbie says, I'm in Hove. So Lynn's up in Leeds, so not quite the other end of the country, but you're not near neighbours, that's for sure. So hey, why don't you come to the if you haven't met before, why don't you come to the why don't you mark out October the 12th in your diary, because it's going to be the next and the last version of the 100% Pitch Free Networking conference for 2024. We did the year beginning meeting in January. We did the summer barbecue in June, and we'll do the what we call the winter feast version of it in October, 12th of October. It's going to be at the Berestede Hotel in Ascot. So tickets are available now. Let me just show you how to get that. Got to check my spelling. Always check my spelling. There we are. So just pitchfreenetworking.com. So come along. I think £60 plus VAT for the day. I know Debbie was at the summer barbecue, so you know what a brilliant day it is. We'll get a guest expert in after lunch. We'll get a mentee case study in the morning, and you spend just the rest of the day chatting property. It's where the hosts tend to, from Property Chats, tend to all come in, and the delegates or the registrants from the Property Chats meeting around the country all tend to congregate at that conference. So there we are. Come along to the Pitch Free Networking. It's a great place to meet up with people that you wouldn't normally meet up with. There we are. My options have just gone. Been doing that wrong. Well, ping me over what you're trying to do, Lynn, and let me just have a look at it, because that shouldn't knock out your options. It just means you've got to offer less. Oh dear, you got a prior engagement. Yeah, I know you'd love to come, but there we are. But well, I hope you have a great day in London with your hubby. There we are. But yeah, ping those workings over to me so I can check you're doing it right. Because anyone that's in my training knows. Oh, they've improved. Oh, I misread that then. Oh, okay. So the emojis. You see, that's me not being conversant with all the emojis out there. But there we are. Now, if they've improved, happy days. Still send that. Still ping me the details, Lynn, so I can just check over what you're doing. Because if you switch your focus to problem deals with agents rather than auction properties, I think you'll have more success. Pretty much most people get more success with agents than they do with auctions. They also get more success with agents they do with sources as well, because sources tend to provide rubbish deals, A, because they keep the best ones for themselves, possibly, or B, because they're not smart enough to know what a good one is anyway, because they've been on some half-baked sourcing course. that really has filled their heads with a load of rubbish, really, about what sourcing is all about. So yeah, there we are. So yeah, I know what that one is. There you go. It's that. Good. Okay, so I've got some work to do. I've got a meeting with my event planner tomorrow, where we're planning out the first half of 2025. What events I'm going to run, where they are, locations and dates and everything else. So I've got a busy day today because I've got to plot all that in my 2025 diary, so that she knows where we're going and when we're going, and we can do all that, because most of my year is planned out a year in advance. So I know where I'm going to be pretty much a year in advance. So as we're in the summer of 2024 now, it's time to plan up until summer 2025. It's just the way I do it, really. So there we are. Oh, thank you very much. Superb advice. Well, there we are. That's what I'm here to do. And especially people like you, Debbie and Lynn, and who else have we had? Mel, because you're all on board in my training. And you guys get my attention. Very much you do. So I'm here to support you and give you the leg up to the success that you want for yourself. And I told you before, and I'm not sure if you remember, but when you jump on board with me, because I only take on a bunch of people at a time, I'm not training by the 100. I do get emotionally invested in you guys, you guys' success. Hey, Joseph, coming in from YouTube. So YouTube is working. There we are. So that's a relief. It's the first question from YouTube today. So I don't know whether there was a problem, but it's been resolved now. But Lynn couldn't make YouTube work for questions, but it seems it's working now. So appreciate your question, Joseph. Can I get permission from my buy-to-let lender to let rooms in my house as a mini HMO, or do I have to apply for an HMO mortgage? Good question. And the answer, Joseph, will be in your mortgage lender's terms and conditions. You might find them in the mortgage offer, if you remember when you got that. So if you got a copy of that, have a bit of a laborious read through that and see if you can find it in one of the T&Cs. It could be on your lender's website, or you may have to ring their helpline and get them to tell you. Now, let me tell you what most buy-to-let mortgage lenders say. They have a clause in their T&Cs that says you cannot have more than one person on an AST in your property. That's the restriction. Now, what you could do is get your mini HMO. Let's say, and it could be 4, but let's say you've got 3. So you've got 3 different people on there. Now, if they're prepared to all sign a single AST, then you could do that, because you don't have to ask permission. You're just doing that. I think now, whether you need a license or not is another issue. You're going to have to talk to your council and find out what their conditions are for an HMO license, what their parameters, what their benchmark is. And it seems that councils differ depending on where you are in the country. But from a lender's point of view, now here's the issue. Put yourself in the tenant shoe. Oh, that sun's coming out a bit bright there now. Let's just block that out a bit. Put yourself in a tenant's issue. So someone wants to rent your room. So in their head, you're going to say to them, now, yes, I can rent you out my room. It's X amount a month, but you have to go on to a single AST agreement with these 2 other people that you haven't yet met. Now, the implication there is it's what's called joint and several liability. Now, each of the 3 of them is equally responsible for paying the whole rent. Now, let's just keep things simple. let's just say it's £500 a room. It might be more than that, but let's just say, in fact, it probably is, but let's just say it's £500 a room. So the AST is £1,500, 3 times 500. And they all sign to say, yes, they're responsible for the whole 1,500. So in other words, if one of the others doesn't pay it, the other two have to pay their share. That's how it works. Whereas if you've got a proper HMO, every tenant is only responsible for their own £500. It's not their issue if the other tenants don't pay their £500. So to keep it within most buy-to-let lenders' criteria, you would have to get them on a single AST. Now, it wouldn't be unreasonable to say you'd get a fair bit of pushback trying to get people that don't know each other to take on the responsibility for the other two people paying the debt or the rent, if you don't call it a debt when it is really, isn't it? So what's the probability of that happening? Not much. Now, there are a very small number of lenders, and probably a handful would be an exaggeration, of buy-to-let lenders that have taken out that clause and they've allowed you to do up to 4 ASTs. Now, if you want to do 4 ASTs, or no more than 4 ASTs, it might just be a case that you do have to refinance with a lender that allows this. Now, who are those lenders? Well, in our brokerage, Isaac knows exactly who they are. So if you want to explore that avenue, then just go to the homepage on YouTube, and there's a little introductory line across the top. Actually, for you, it'll be coming across that way, line across the top, and right on the far right side, there's a little arrow, and if you click on that arrow, all the contact details drop down. So take a look at that. If you want us to look into that for you. If you want more than 4 tenants, and which I'm guessing you don't because you're using the term mini HMO, then yes, you would have to apply for a specific HMO mortgage. There we are. So thanks for that little session. If you still got a question, you've got to be quick to answer it. Otherwise, I'm off in a minute. Got my 2025 calendar to work on today. So where are we? So remember, points to remember for them: brrlaunchpad.com, half price tickets, early bird tickets until the 14th of August. There's that. You can jump on the pitcheringnetworking.com if you want to come to and book a ticket for the Winter Feast in Ascot on the 12th of October. And what else did we say? Yeah, if you're not in the Recycle Your Cash group, come and join us there. Facebook.com/groups/ Recycle Your Cash. And hey, keep your eyes peeled for the product launch on the 14th of September, where I'm going to show you how to massively leverage the vault of these Monday morning Q&As. That's going to be really exciting, actually. So there we are. Great. Just check no one sneaked in with a last minute question. No, Joseph's still the last one. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up, and I'm going to see you guys next Monday. I'm going to be back next Monday. So there we are. Have a great week, and I'll see you in a week's time. Mel said, look forward to all those. Yeah, you're already coming to the launch pad, aren't you? You've got your ticket, Mel, for the launch pad. So yeah, there we are. And it's all rocking up. We're setting up the autumn. So that's great. See you there. Okay, guys, have a great week. I'll see you next Monday, 8:30, in the same place you're watching today.